Hi, this is Mike Holly from Bluff Park Methodist, and I'm speaking with Monica from United Counseling, and we're glad to have you here today, Monica. Would you tell us just a little bit about maybe who you are and what United Counseling does?
Yeah. United Counseling is a ministry out of the North Alabama Conference. We've been around for probably almost 50 years by now, and we offer up counseling, consultation, retreats, group meetings for all mental health issues. And we see children and families and adults and couples and kind of whatever conglomeration of a group you want to get together, we'll certainly work with you. Our priority has always been clergy and clergy families, but has expanded to really include anyone in the community that is in need. Many people find us just through word of mouth or referral or just through insurance. They'll look for counselors, and our
Sure.
main office is on the campus of Canterbury United Methodist Church in Mountain Brook, but we also see people at Asbury on 119 and in McCalla. So we try to have some alternative spaces to be convenient for everyone.
Perfect. Well, I know that our church has benefited from United over and over again, and I know we used to be a satellite location for one of the counselors a long
Yeah,
time ago.
yeah.
But y'all have been so great that every time that I have referred some people over there, you've done a good job, and we've even helped a few people that in our community that needed counseling and
Mhm.
provided free counseling through you guys for them.
Yes, yes.
Um, and so it's been a huge help. Well, I know you have done a lot of telehealth and, kind of checking in with people after this social distancing and the pandemic started. And we thought it might be helpful to people in our church with kids or grandkids to be thinking about, how do these kids deal with now being in a completely unknown situation? They're at home, but they're not used to being home that much. They're away from their teachers, they're away from their friends, and they're with sometimes they're home alone and sometimes they're home with their parents, and their
Yeah.
parents are having to sort of become a homeschool teacher for the first time in their lives. Um, so I know that's probably going on in a lot of houses, not only in our area but around the country. Um, do you have any thoughts or tips for if a kid's watching you and I talk, and they know that they've experienced some of that emotion or anxiety, or kind of just getting frustrated to the point of maybe even melting down? What are some things that they can do or practice?
Yeah. This is such, I mean, this is weird. Like where we have found ourselves in the state of the world. There is no precedent for how to manage this or how to deal with
Yeah.
this. And so it's really okay just to say this is weird, like, and we're figuring it out as the day goes on. Um, we have, yes, we are spending more time with our kids than probably we ever have, maybe more time with our spouse than we ever have, and trying to carve out places in the house to do work and to do school and to do different things like that can be challenging. One of the best gifts that we have right now is just technology
Hmm.
and the resources that are available to everyone through this time. There's some really great apps that kids can use on their own, or you can use
Okay.
with your kids, that really help with mindfulness and deep breathing and relaxation. Some of those, there's Smiling Mind and Calm and Breathing Kids, I think if
Okay.
you just search in your app store. uh, I even know that Becca, one of our counselors who sees a lot of kids, will use that app over telehealth with the kid, trying to teach relaxation skills and different things like that. And you can do it alongside your child, which would probably be helpful for you too.
Hmm.
But they're also so user friendly. Many kids are old enough to do those on their own. This time is not really the time to kind of institute huge behavior charts or have these high expectations for thriving in the midst of all of this. Most people will see changes in their children's behaviors because of grief They
Hmm.
don't get to see their friends, they don't get to see their teachers, they don't get to go to Chick-fil-A and play in the play place. They don't have these same opportunities to expend energy. So there's a lot of grief that you see through their behavior. Lots of anxiety, lots of unknown answers to questions that we can't answer for them. How long will this last? I have no idea. Can we do this? Can we do this? How long before I can go hug my grandmother? I
Hmm.
don't know. And that's anxiety provoking for the parents too, to not be able to have those kinds of answers. And what's helpful in that time, and even you can make a list together, you can encourage them to identify the things that they do have control over at this time. You know, we can have normal bedtimes and morning routines that we've always had, and that's really
Hmm.
comforting, having some structure for them. We have control over if we play outside or inside, or what games you choose to play as a family. You have control over how you choose to maybe participate with worship. If you
Hmm.
do that online, or you find creative ways as a family to do that on a Sunday, just trying to maintain some similarity and routine and structure is very comforting.
Hmm.
Um, Certainly, which I feel like is the most important, is really taking time for play throughout the day. And
Hmm.
I'm not really just talking about the kids. Like, we as adults really need to have play breaks where we are doing things that is just completely, the goal is nothing more than just to laugh and to have a good time and to experience something new and different as a family. The message I continue to keep giving people is to really lower your expectations of what your day is going to look like.
Yeah.
um, Maybe get off Pinterest and Facebook and all of those things that have these great schedules and charts and things that kind of set us up for failure. And some days, just surviving is succeeding. And
Sure.
to give parents permission to not try as hard, to give kids permission to have a bad day, is really okay, because we are in such uncertain times that sometimes just getting through the day is something to celebrate and to praise.
Yeah.
And then there will be other days where, oh my gosh, our morning went really well and we're so thankful for that. Or you'll have days where we were so productive and we got so much done and no one had a meltdown and there were no fights and mom wasn't drinking in a closet by herself, and we celebrate those days too. But most of the days you're just going to be making it. And
Yeah.
that is what I applaud for people, is when you just make it, because those are our hardest days to do that.
Yeah. I can completely understand that for sure. And I love how you're just kind of honest and saying this is weird, this is unprecedented. Um, one of the things that was really helpful to me that you talked about was just maintaining a schedule. And I can imagine it being, maybe a more kid-friendly schedule during the day, where if they had PE at a certain time, maybe that's a time to play or to go outside or to do something like that.
Hmm.
Because we forget sometimes that they have um, varied activities throughout the day, that they're not just in front of a computer screen like parents are most of the day.
Right. And if you are used to sending your child off to school, that you may think, I need to schedule 7 or 8 hours of learning or productivity for my child. And that is, I feel like that's completely unrealistic. That you can have pockets of learning throughout the day, and that is totally fine.
Yeah.
Um, and that your learning can look very, very different than it does in a structured classroom that your child is used to. And learning things like life skills, like how to cook eggs, or how to um, vacuum, or how to take care of yourself, and how to take time for prayer and meditation, and recognizing your own emotions and naming them. Like, that's learning. And sometimes learning those life skills are more important during times like this than it is to learn a lot of the academic pressures that we as parents feel we need to continue to facilitate for them.
Sure. And you know, you were talking about how sort of the grief that has happened, and we kind of feel bad about telling people, no, you can't go hug your grandmother, and you know, no, you can't go to the playground, and that just seems ludicrous that you can't go to a playground that's just empty, you
Right.
know.
Yeah. Yeah.
But even then, I start to think back about how things change so rapidly from you're in school to now you're out of school for a couple of weeks, and now you're out of school for the rest of the year. It's like they went through multiple traumas
Hmm.
through this whole thing. It wasn't just like, hey, things change, now this is the way it is. It's that it was kind of like a domino effect. And I remember
Yeah.
last week coming back from sort of a quick little spring break trip and having to tell them, okay, you're not going back to school in a week.
Hmm.
You're not going back for the rest of the semester. And that was hard
Oh,
to
yeah.
for them and for us too.
Yeah. Grief isn't just about what your children are experiencing. We are all like, there is no one in our country who is not impacted by what is going on. And, grief isn't just about we had to reschedule our wedding or we're not going to participate in a graduation ceremony. I don't get to see my friends' faces every day. I don't get to leave the house with the luxury of um, going to eat outside of my home versus inside of my home. Like, things are just so different, and naming that with your kids is really important too. Naming what makes you really sad about this time and what's really hard for you is very affirming for your child to hear that, where they don't feel so alone and so, you know having to figure it out on their own, knowing that their mom and their dad is having a hard time or is really sad about something or doesn't know how to make this new kind of way of living look. We still have all
Yeah.
of these questions. um, as parents, giving ourselves permission to say, I don't know, but I know that we're not having to figure this out alone, and I know that this is going to be temporary. I just don't know how temporary it is. But I do know that we're going to make it through, and we're going to come out on the other side and be healthy and be well and be strong as a family and as a community. And right now is really hard.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, it's a great transition to, you know, parents caring for themselves as well, because I'm sure that they're having, you know, waves of stress or anxiety coming from now being, you know, in charge of their kids' entire day, plus still getting their work done, and then trying to figure out what are we going to eat because we can't always just go out to eat.
right. Yeah.
And sometimes the food that you want is not at the grocery store. So
Hmm.
some of the same things might apply to parents. I don't know about some of the apps or the breathing techniques in terms of managing their emotions and trying to prevent, you know, melting down themselves, or managing their emotions better.
Yeah. Some of those same apps are for adults too. They have adult components to it and child components to it. Headspace, Calm, all of those are really great apps for mindfulness and self care.
Hmm.
Um, but also convincing people to limit their news intake is really challenging right now because we want to know all of the information to be sure that we're doing the right thing. And even as an adult, maybe scheduling pockets of time where you receive information and then cutting it off, because a lot of it just all it does is just increase anxiety without having a solution, and that's not going
Hmm.
to be very helpful for us. Different families are experiencing different levels of stress too, whether it's financial or social or anything like that, and recognizing that the other resources that are out there and available for families is really important.
Hmm.
Using that technology, doing Zoom or Google Hangout or anything like that with your own friends and people that you miss is just as important for you as it is for facilitating that for your kids.
Hmm.
And I think, if possible, cultivating a place in your home that's kind of your respite little place that you go to to be by yourself, to recollect, collect, to decompress, whatever it may be. I mean, it could be a closet. I sit in my closet all the time. And my family knows if the door is closed, like mom's in her closet. But just
Don't
having
go
that,
in.
yeah, having that little space that's dedicated to you, that you
Yeah,
can go to, and people know that when you're in that space that you just need a few minutes is really important when you're really confined to a home together.
right.
And I think marriages too are going to experience a lot of stress during this, because I joked about it, but some of us might be with our spouses more than we've ever been with them, with them before. And we're kind of experiencing that retirement phase when couples retire and they're all of a sudden they're together and they don't know like what to do,
Right.
with each other. And so figuring out routines within your marriage too, and ways that you show up for each other, being able to say, I really need you to figure out dinner tonight. I can't think about that one more day.
Right.
And your spouse saying, I got it, I'll take care of it, we're going to have peanut butter sandwiches, whatever
Right.
it is fine. But being able to say, this is what I need, and how you can show up for each other is going to strengthen this marriage through this really weird and strange time, instead of
Right.
coming out of it fractured, which is what we don't want.
No.
Um,
Yeah, Julie even, my wife, said, we've got to get better about just checking in with each other. Like
yeah.
most of the time, like how was work, how, all that kind of stuff is just really something we do in passing. One of the things we always do at dinner when we're able to sit down is just, what was your favorite thing today? What went well? What was great? But now we're trying to get better about just saying, how are you? Like, how are you dealing with this? What do you need? And that's been a good thing to start, but it's something that we've got to get much better at, I think.
Yeah, and especially if you have a house full of lots of extra ears around all of the time, it's hard to have some really important conversations, and getting creative in the way that you do that is important too. And even
Hmm.
telling your kids, look, we're going to close our door. We need to be together and we need to have conversations without you guys. Y'all go watch a
Hmm.
movie and leave us alone is
Right.
totally a fair thing to say. To go for a walk, to do anything where you get to have those check-in moments with your spouse, that gets you out of your head, versus like we get stuck in that spiral in our head, especially when our anxiety is increasing and we've been watching the news and we don't know what's for dinner. And I mean, it just gets really big and unbearable.
Sure.
And you begin to think that you're the only one. Well, my wife or my husband is just assuming I'm taking care of everything. Like, so you start to grow these resentments because you're not checking in with each other and showing up for each other and having those conversations.
Yeah.
So that's an easy fix, but during this time, it has to be a creative fix to it as well.
Yeah. Was there any other advice or ideas that families or individuals might want to think about?
I think just finding the things in the day that you as a family really value, and something that you can look forward to, whether it's a walk or a board game or a show or whatever it is. Having something that you can look forward to, during the day is really important.
Hmm.
um, and then again, like giving yourself some grace about how you manage your family, how you manage yourself, and giving everybody, leaving enough margin in the day for everybody to kind of do their roller coaster of emotion that they may go through, and being totally fine with that.
Right.
Because we're all just trying to figure this out together. And some days it's really messy, and then some days it's a little less messy.
Sure.
But mess is kind of like the common theme.
Find a way to bless the mess, I guess, is kind of
Yeah,
one,
yeah, yeah.
because it's going to be there.
Oh yeah, mess is the guarantee.
Yeah.
We don't know the answers to any of the big questions, but we know this is messy. And so
Right.
kind of accept that and embrace it, and just find a way to make yourself trudge through it together.
That's great. Well, Monica, I know that you guys are still helping people, and if somebody wanted to call and schedule like a telehealth, or if they wanted to see what services you could provide, what phone number, what website could they go to?
Okay. You can always go to our website is unitedcounseling.org.
Okay,
You can call us at 205-824-8320. I will say just be prepared to leave a message and Natalie gets back to you as soon as she can. She's working remotely as well. And then emailing us to office@unitedcounseling.org is probably the most efficient way
okay,
to do that. But you can also message us on Facebook or Instagram. And if you follow us, we're continuously posting to other tips and things to do during this time and really trying to get resources out there for anything that might help us
yeah,
during this
and I've told you before that we've been reposting some of the quotes and tips
time. Yeah.
from United Counseling that we found on your social media accounts, and they've just really been really appreciated by folks in our church. So thank y'all for doing that.
Yeah, yeah. We love it. And again, thankful for technology during this day and age that we can still be connected when we can't be present with each other.
That's great. Well, Monica, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for what you already do for families and people in our area and for the Methodist Church. And thank you for joining me for this Zoom call.
Yeah, I'm just going to go sit in my closet for a little bit and reemerge to my family later.
That sounds good. Well, have a good day, and I hope to talk
Okay.
to you soon.
All right. Thanks, Mike.
Bye.